What is up, everyone? It is Monday again, so we have another Monday metagame update. And though the standard meta seems a little bit stale based on the untapped.gg stats, we're going to see that there is still some sweet brews to be had. So let's get into it. All right, so we're just going to quickly go through standard, historic, etc. Because like I mentioned in the intro, it's a little bit stale right now. We see aggro still is king in best of one, of course. Mono white humans, mono red, Boros, Selesnya enchantments, etc. Those are still dominating. So if you're building a deck, make sure you're teching it against aggro because it's everywhere. And not a whole lot new showing up here on the Untapped.g ranked ladder stuff, but we'll see that people are still brewing and have some cool new deck ideas that are working out. Standard best of three, pretty much the same as well. Boros Convoke is best deck here as well. Four color domain and Esper also very strong in the best of three format. And then in historic, nothing changed here as well. Dimir Ninjas, Esper Affinity, Mono Green Devotion, and 5-color. The Geist Scam deck is also up there. So that's kind of your top spots right now. So that aside, get through the boring stuff. Let's talk about some tournaments, because we did get some interesting results of the top standard decks based on the MTGO tournaments. So we have this one from kind of midweek. Esper took down the first place. That's normal. Second place is a blue-black deck with the Schooner and the Spyglass Siren and Malcolm. So this is actually a pretty new deck. I mean, it took advantage of the previous blue-black mid-range deck, but a lot of new cards, a lot of old cards cut. Pretty much cut all the Planeswalkers. Yeah, so just it's like a new version of Dimir, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of a tempo-y, mid-rangey deck. Not exactly my cup of tea, but I like to see that it's doing well, and we don't have the same exact decks doing the top of the tournaments. So that's cool to see. We've also got a Gruul deck here, mostly mono red, splashing a little bit of green. Basically mono red, so it's a boo from me, but some people really like mono red. There you go. It's doing well. And then last is the kind of ramp control deck. This one is playing Nissa, has 4 Caverns of Souls to stop the control deck, other control decks. Oh, also this one gets kind of a boo from me because it's been so played out for so long now. I really hope some new decks can take over eventually. So this one, not too exciting. Only really the Dimir deck is the new deck in here. But if we take a look at this next tournament, this one happened just a couple days ago. So first place again, Esper, with a few new cards. Jishana's Tidebinder, Deep Cavern Bat, etc. There's a few new cards in here. But second place, we got the blue-white Tempo-y deck. That's what I'm officially calling it, Tempo-y deck. But it's got the Schooner, it's got the Spyglass Siren, Dishana's Tidebender, Warden of the Inner Sky, Regal Bunnicorn. So kind of like a pretty aggressive blue-white deck that was playing some counter spells, playing some removal, playing some flash creatures with the Tidebinder here, and really abusing this Subterranean Schooner card, which is just really, really good. And the Evasion of Segovia, also a good card that doesn't see play, but it works well with the Warden of the Inner Sky. So yeah, this one is very innovative, and I really like this one a lot. And then third place, we got the blue-black deck, similar to the one we saw before. This one's running an Unctus in there to get you some card draw, I guess. And it can pump your creatures in a kind of a bind situation where you want to pay some life, essentially, to do that. So yeah, interesting include. I guess it also works well with the Schooner, pumps your Schooner up. So that's also pretty cool. And then fourth place. I think this is fourth place. Yeah, fourth place. Uh, really cool deck here. This is a Rakdos Discover deck. I've been playing a lot of Discover with Quintorius and enjoying that quite a lot. Trying to do control shells, but I found some of the other Discover cards to also be very good, and I'm enjoying playing those as well, like the Theological Appraiser and the Trumpeting Carnosaur. I think everyone knows the Appraiser is good at this point. It got banned in Pioneer, but yeah, if you build your deck around it, it can be quite good. So Bloodtithe Harvester is still very good. Shieldred, of course, very good. Gix, very good. Well, we got some new ones. Deep Cavern Bat, Preacher of the Schism. That's a really good card, which I probably should be playing. And then Bone Horde Dracosaur, also pretty good. A little bit expensive, but pretty good. And then, of course, the two I mentioned already. And then Cruelty of Gix making a comeback, which I like a lot because it can bring back your Trumpeting Carnosaur that you've discarded early on for 3 mana. Now you can bring it back from the graveyard. So that is very sweet. Fortunately, Cruelty of Gix does not work with Geological Appraiser because it says when you cast this. So that's kind of a nombo there, but the Carnosaur does work with Gix quite well. Yeah, I just had a crazy idea for Invasion of Amonkhet with the Geological Appraiser because it counts as casting. And the Appraiser can get the Invasion of Amonkhet. This is 3 mana. Anyway, maybe something for a future deck brew. Yeah, I like this one a lot. I think it was only a matter of time before a Rakdos deck popped up. I mean, Rakdos has been good for a long time, but it was starting to fall out of favor, and this is a completely new Rakdos. So I actually kind of tempted to try this one out on the ladder. It seems good, and uh, it's fun. Discover is pretty fun. I have to admit. I mean, Cascade. What's not to like about Cascade? It always feels bad when someone gets something amazing off of it, but yeah, it's kind of fun. All right, let's look at the brews of the week. So we got Astral Frame here, another crazy deck. So this is with Quintorius as well, though don't really know why Quintorius is in here. But it's got Spelunking, Up the Beanstalk, and Depopulate, Sunfall, lots of control. But you're ramping into your big stuff here. Virtue of Persistence, Breach the Multiverse, Itali, Herd Migration, and Atraxa. So kind of 4-color ramp, but a different, very different version of the deck. And Spelunking lets your lands come in untapped, so that's pretty busted, right? So even though you're running all these triumphs after turn 3, they basically all come in untapped. So pretty crazy. And Virtue and Herd Migration, you can play early. Leyline, you can play early. So you do have some early game plays, even though it looks like it's all expensive. Yeah, I think it's a good new version of that ramp deck. The existing ramp deck is so boring. Everyone's been playing it for like 3 or 4 sets now. So this is kind of a new take on that deck, and I definitely like it better. I think it's much cooler. All right, and then we got Noriyuki Mori, a very famous Japanese player, and he's just playing blue white control, and he's having a good time with that, doing very well. Basically nothing changed, but you got Get Lost in here as the new removal of choice for the control deck. Turns out as long as you keep wiping the board, then the opponent never gets to use those tokens. Yeah, so that's this one. Pretty decent. Farewell, of course, can also exile those artifacts from Get Lost, so you can mitigate the downside. I probably won't play this deck. I'm not a huge fan of the Jace win con, the just mill everything win con, but yeah, it definitely gets me a lot on ladder, so I can't deny that it's pretty strong. And then Grim Captain, this person did pretty well in a small tournament with their Pirates deck. So Pirates is still very good, and they have Throne of the Grim Captain in there, and some dinosaurs and some vampires, and I guess some merfolk with the Tidebinder. So it's yeah, it's a Grim Captain deck. I actually think I lost to this one on the ladder, but it's pretty hard to fit all of those types in the blue red shell. But I guess if you just use the big guys as basically 2 mana, get a land, then you can get them into the graveyard pretty easily with the cycle and kind of help get your Grim Captain on board. And then the Grim Captain itself is a very solid card. So if you can get to the four mana and have the 4 cards in your graveyard, you know, relatively early in the game, you're just gonna run away with it. So also very interesting. I would be interested in trying this one. We'll have to see how it does on the ladder, but it won this person's local like tournament at their local store. And then here's another almost similar version of the Rakdos Discover deck. A few different card choices: Anoint with Affliction, Brotherhood's End, Lord Skitter, etc. But relatively the same. Went 7-1 for this person. So yeah, seems like this deck is real. There's 2 people now. And then the next one we got Esper with the Owl. I always can never say this one. Deepest Betrayal, we'll just call it. I may have showcased this before, but they updated the list a little bit and they went on an even bigger win streak than before. I think they were 54-13, so pretty crazy. So yeah, this Esper deck pretty solid, a little bit different than the previous one. Man, was the previous one Dimir? Now that I'm thinking about it, with the Aliklots and the Invasion. I can't remember if maybe it had Rafine as well, so maybe it wasn't, but mostly Dimir, a little bit of Esper. Yeah, turns out Esper is good, but we all knew that. And then Sasha Coulter is out here playing in Alchemy with the new Alchemy cards. The Merfolk Tunnel Guide being one of the main new cards that are quite good in Alchemy. Kind of makes the Merfolk Explorer deck that didn't work in Standard work in Alchemy. So yeah, he's out here playing that. And you've got a few other cards that work for Merfolk's Coalition Construct there as well. So if you're into Alchemy, this could be a good aggro or mid-range-ish type deck for you. And then finally, Michiko's Device. It's basically an artifact aggro deck in red and white. It's using Dowsing Device and Michiko's Ray of Truth to kind of buff up your creatures and give them haste and things like that. And Poetic Ingenuity. I really like that card a lot too, to be honest. I tried to make it work. I couldn't quite get it to work for me, but it's a good card. And I couldn't find the shell. So maybe this is the shell. And for the MTG Brew Labs, they went 8-5. So pretty good. Not amazing, but definitely good enough to get you to Mythic if you kept this rate the entire time. So yeah, if you like artifacts, you can try this one out. All right, that is it for now. So we got some new brews. We got some stuff still happening in Standard. We, of course, have a new set coming out pretty soon. Not really soon, but they've already done some spoilers for the new clue-based set in Ravnica. So I'm a little bit interested in that. The mechanics that they mentioned are very nice. Like Surveil is coming back, which I love. I hope there's some sweet Dimir Surveil cards in the new set. So we'll have to see. But until next time, go out there, have some fun, and see ya.